Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peter's Movie Reviews. And today I want to talk about a movie that came out last year, 2025, and the movie is called Pillion. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, Pillion, I don't know. Anyway, my husband picked this movie out this weekend. The movie I had heard about. I had heard that it was really raunchy. I don't know that I feel like it's really raunchy. I don't know. I heard that it was like really raunchy, really sexual, and all this kind of stuff. I have devoted 2026 to, as a gay man, to watching more gay films, more gay television, and reading more gay literature, more gay books. When I was in my early 20s, I watched a lot of gay movies. When I came out when I was 18 years old. I watched a lot of gay movies. I read a lot of gay books. Through the years, I've read a lot of gay nonfiction books about the AIDS crisis. On and on and on, about Stonewall, about the uprising, about the gay, rights movement, civil rights movement, and things like that. I've also watched several different TV shows. When I watched Heated Rivalry last year, something completely changed in me, and I don't really, or I guess earlier this year, I don't really know what that was when I watched Heated Rivalry. I thought it was incredibly sexy. I thought it was incredibly romantic. I loved Heated Rivalry. I've started the first book. I'm going to read all the books in the series because I'm an avid reader. But there was something about it for me that really, I don't know, like, it made my pride of being a gay man come out all over again. And in a way, like, it made me feel like I could embrace my pride in a way that I felt like my being gay was just part of who it's become part of just who I am. Not that I'm like every day, like reading gay literature, being active about educating myself on new things that are going on. As far as politics and things like that, yes, I'm educating myself daily. But as far as like art and literature, I don't really keep up with a lot of it. And so I've really made an intention this last year in reading more gay literature and watching more gay TV shows and gay movies. And so my husband knew that. So this weekend we were trying to figure out some movies we watched. We watched, I think, like 3 movies this weekend. So it was between this one and another movie, and I was like, it was like a romantic comedy. I don't know. It was something on HBO Max for free. And I was like, I don't really feel like that. And so he was like, do you want to watch this movie called Pillion? And I was like, I'd seen the posters for it before. I'd heard that people were saying, oh my God, this movie with Alexander Skarsgård, blah, 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 whatever. But I didn't really know much about it. In fact, I didn't really even know that it was about this like BDSM world kind of thing. And so, but when we watched the trailer for it, I was like, I don't know that I'm really into this movie at all. So let me read to you the synopsis for this movie. You can currently watch it on HBO Max and other places, but you have to pay other places. It's on HBO Max right now, streaming. Colin, a timid man, meets Ray, a confident biker gang leader, who initiates him into a submissive relationship, challenging Colin's mundane existence and prompting personal growth through their unconventional dynamic. Okay, so when I started watching this movie, I was like, I am not going to like this movie at all. I absolutely loved this movie. I was kind of surprised because I thought my husband would like it more than me. And he was like, yeah, I thought it was good. He was like, but whatever. So this movie is about this guy. I can't remember what their names are. Colin and Ray. So Colin is, like, when it starts, he lives in like this small English town and works kind of just like a boring job, and he's, in school and stuff like that. And he is in this like quartet with his dad, and it's like around Christmas time. I think it's almost Christmas. And so he's in this small like pub and he's singing with this quartet. And Ray comes in, played by Alexander Skarsgård, and Ray is part of this biker group. Now, I don't know much about this. I will be the first one to admit, I mean, I have friends of mine that are in the leather community in the United States. I'm aware, I've gone to my fair share of leather bars and things like that, the Eagles and all that. But I don't know that much about it. I don't live in a BDSM relationship. I don't identify as being part of the leather community. So I don't know that much about it. I think that's part of what was so intriguing to me about it. But it might be a little bit different in the UK than it is here. I'm just guessing, because at the beginning, Colin has a conversation with his friend, and they're talking about, would you ever like hook up with a biker? In the United States, if you said biker, I would think like Sturgis or like outlaw biker gang. Like, I wouldn't think of the leather community. So I don't know if maybe in the UK it's different. I have no idea. But over there, it's more of like the modern bikes, and they have like the modern jackets and stuff like that. So, because that's a lot of what they wear. So he's in the bar. It's like Christmas Eve or something like that. And Alexander Skarsgård, who is so gorgeous, and he is over there, and they're like, he's hanging out with all these biker guys and whatever, and he comes up to the bar. And Colin, who's very, like, just shy and, you know, just kind of subdued, he's ordering, like, bags of chips at the bar. And so Alexander Skarsgård comes up, and he, like, gives him a card or something, like a Christmas card, and, like, puts his number into it. So he's kind of under the assumption that maybe they're going to have, like, a date. It's never really explained if Colin understands what he's signing up for or not. Like, you don't really ever know. So he goes home and he's, like, telling his mom. His parents are very open about him being gay and all that kind of stuff. Like, that's not an issue. His mom's dying of cancer. That's a big part of the movie. And I'm not going to just spoil the whole movie for you. I just want to explain to you why I thought the movie was so fantastically done. So he goes home, and then Alexander Skarsgård, like, he calls him and he comes and picks him up, like, the next day, like on Christmas Day or something like that. He doesn't say hi to his parents. He doesn't, like, introduce himself, I don't think, at that point. He doesn't, like, I think maybe he takes off his helmet and says hi to his parents, and, like, they're like, you know, keep him safe or whatever, because they're under the assumption that it's like a date. Which I guess it is like a date, but in that world, the date is considered something completely different. So they go back to Alexander Skarsgård's apartment, where Colin stays for like 3 days, 2 or 3 days, like over a weekend. It's in another town, and like his parents are real worried about him and stuff like that, especially his mom. And he stays there, and as soon as he walks in, like, Alexander Skarsgård's like, this is what I want for dinner. And then, like, he sits on the couch with the dog and he eats while Colin is, like, standing behind him. It seems like Colin is confused at first, but now in retrospect, I'm like, he must have kind of known what he was signing up for a little bit. I don't know. Maybe it's my confusion that if I had gone into that situation, I would have been completely confused, like, what the F is going on here? Because I was kind of like, I would be like, what are we doing here? He's, like, reading on the couch, watching TV like Alexander Skarsgård. He doesn't talk to Colin at all. Like, it's a very, like, you know, dominant, submissive relationship. And so he, like, turns off the TV, turns off the lights, and he's like, it's time for bed. So they go into the bedroom, and he tells Colin, he's like, you can sleep on he's like, oh, they're brushing their teeth. And he says, do you snore? And he says, no, I don't think I snore. And he said, do you, like, basically, like, do you have to get up a lot during the night to go to the bathroom? And he says, no. And he goes, okay, then you can sleep at the end of the bed. But if I find out that you snore, you have to sleep in the hallway. or in the entryway or something like that. So it shows Colin going to sleep at the end of the night on the floor at the end of his bed. I don't know. I was very confused about it at first. So basically, it's Colin being introduced to this, like, this submissive, dominant relationship where he's a submissive and Ray, Alexander Skarsgård, is a dominant. To the point where he's, like, wearing the necklace with the lock, and then Alexander Skarsgård wears the necklace with the key and things like that. And it just, they show over the period of this relationship in this movie, this relationship that they build. At some point, Colin has a problem with this relationship. Not that he has a problem with it, but he, like, misses kissing. He wants to have a romantic side to this relationship. He wants them to, he asks Alexander Skarsgård, can we have, like, one day, like a week, one day a month, one day a year, where we can just take off? And Alexander Skarsgård's like, no to all of that. But then that kind of plays out in a different way. One of the most fantastic scenes, I don't know why this scene, like, hit me so hard, but it's when, like, Colin wants Ray to meet his parents. And he's like, I don't think that's a good idea. And he's like, I mean, they don't really have emotional conversations. The relationship's not about that. What you really get from, well, okay. So they go over, finally, Ray does this for Colin. There's a scene in there where Colin, like, really hurts himself, and you can see Ray take care of him. And you can realize that for Ray, who is trying to be so emotionless about this relationship, that his emotion is shown in different ways. So that's where he's kind of softening up a little bit. He goes over to Colin's parents' house for dinner one night, and his mom starts asking him all these questions. Alexander Skarsgård is very, very respectful of his mother. And at one point she says, I just don't know that I think that what you have to offer, this relationship, is good for my son. And Ray looks at her, Alexander Skarsgård looks at her and says, like, not to be disrespectful, but I don't know that I think it's your place to tell your son what's good for him or not. And it was really, really interesting to me because at that point was when I was like, this is that they very much specifically picked this very small group within the LGBTQI plus community, okay, to make an entire movie about. And then they're also talking about the mom who is very open-minded to her son, judging this relationship that she feels like he's being pulled into, but it's a choice that he's making. And really what we're talking about at this point is we're talking about bigger issues. We're talking about people on the outside judging anybody, whether you're in the LGBTQI plus community or not. We're talking about judging people within the LGBTQI plus community, that, you know, those of us within the community are judging each other at the same time. It's fantastically done. It's absolutely fantastically done. There are several sexual scenes in it. I mean, I'm not a prude. I like seeing those scenes, but it was interesting because the way that they portrayed them, they start off like the BDSM scenes. They're not super, I mean, to somebody, there's no real nudity. Alexander Skarsgård, I think, is wearing a prosthetic. They show him, like, take out his dick, like, at one point, but it's got to be a prosthetic if it's not. But anyway, it's fantastically done. I mean, the scenes are very true to what I would imagine is true within that kind of relationship, the sex scenes. But you can tell over time that Colin is yearning for something more, and Ray is really struggling with that conundrum of, do I give him what he wants or do I stay true to who I am? And is that really who I am? So when you're going through the movie, what you realize is who really changes throughout the movie and who is really true to themselves. And it's really, the movie is a lot about judgment and what is love and how do we judge somebody else for what love looks like for them. I thought the movie was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. I looked up about halfway through. I looked up I was like, they never once mentioned Pillion in this movie. So I was like, what is a Pillion? A Pillion is the secondary seat or pad behind the main driver on a motorcycle, scooter, or horse. A passenger who sits in this position is said to ride pillion or act as pillion passenger, which is interesting when you talk about it being that he's in this relationship with this biker where the biker is dominant and he is he's submissive. And at one point, Colin takes the bike and is like, runs off to piss Ray off. And it's such a significant scene in the movie of this power differential that shifts. It's very, very interesting when you watch the movie. Like, it is so well done. I really, to be honest with you, going into this movie, I thought, I am not going to be... The movie starts very slow. And I thought, I mean, to be honest with you, the whole movie is kind of slow. I was like, I am just not going to like it at all. And what's so interesting to me is the first person I thought of that would love this movie was my mom. My mom passed in 2008. My mom would have watched this movie. Brokeback Mountain was one of my mom's favorite movies. She said she thought that movie taught us really what love is all about, and that it doesn't know gender and it doesn't know, you know, people and things like that love is love. She said that years and years and years ago. And I thought my mom would love this movie because she would love the sentiment behind it, because it's really not about the lock and key. It's really not about all that. Yeah, it does display a world that maybe a lot of us don't know about. I was educated about a lot. But the sentiment behind it is just absolutely done. And the way that maybe I define love is not the same way that somebody else defines love, and that's not my place to judge that. I thought it was so well done. I thought it was just such a beautiful movie. It was a sad movie. It was a tragic movie, but it was beautiful as well. And there were a lot of scenes in it that made me sad, like his mom passes away in the movie, and the funeral, and like who goes and who doesn't go, but in the context of how the film is done, I thought it was fantastic. I was really, really surprised. So anyway, let me know if you've watched it and what you thought in the comment section below. Recommend any movies to me. I'm more than willing to watch anything and review it over here. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.